Tropical storm Fred is about to make landfall in the Dominican Republic. This is as of Wednesday at noontime, and you can see it on satellite actually looking pretty healthy as we get into the afternoon, but it's not going to look that way for much longer. About to interact with the Dominican Republic and rapidly weaken, but it could re-strengthen on the other side of this. So a few things to know about Fred. It's a six-name storm of the season. The last storm, Elsa, dissipated more than a month before this one formed, which was yesterday. It's stronger as of the 11 o'clock advisory. Winds have increased by 5 miles per hour. There's high confidence in the future track, the future position of Fred as we get into the weekend. But there's low confidence in what the strength of this storm will be. So a pretty simple way of knowing what Fred will be doing is looking at that track and just keeping in mind that the future wind speeds will change. So 45 mile per hour winds right now. That's the 5 mile per hour difference. It was 40 at the 8 o'clock in the morning advisory. Now, few things to notice about this forecast track. It is going to go directly over the highest mountain in all of the Caribbean. So that's over 10,000 feet. It's going to disrupt that circulation that you saw looking very pretty on satellite. So this ugly storm is going to look a little bit more tame, more calm on the other side of Hispaniola on Thursday morning. Likely going to be a depression, maybe even totally getting ripped apart. I mean, hey, you can't rule it out, but there is an opportunity right over these warm waters in Cuba. If it doesn't interact with Cuba, it could be on the stronger side. Latest guidance includes some interaction with Cuba, so a pretty low-end tropical storm as it makes its way to Key West. Again, takes a westerly track, then it's going to be closer to Cuba, and it's going to be weak. But an easterly track going to be a much stronger storm. So we'll have to watch pretty carefully what this storm does on Thursday and Friday. That's going to make a big difference for the weekend for the west coast of Florida. We can't rule out an east coast of Florida impact, especially because a lot of this is going to be east heavy, it looks like. A lot of wind shear will potentially rip up Fred as it gets closer to the Gulf Coast, and that would bring a lot of the rain right onto the Florida Peninsula. So you can see that with the GFS model as well as the European. We'll show you the European model first. Bringing moisture into Georgia, into South Carolina, the GFS model has a weaker, more kind of just overall messier storm and inject tropical moisture into Georgia, into South Carolina. So even though it's not necessarily organized at this point next week, it could still bring rain for us here in the Midlands. Then we're tracking Invest 95L. It's got a pretty decent amount of thunderstorm activity associated with it, but nothing organized. A 40% chance of development in the next 5 days. Since it's an Invest, we have spaghetti models to look at. So these are the ensemble models that are showing you where that center could go. Could potentially track toward the central Atlantic, most likely going to take kind of a similar path to Fred and stay in the northern Caribbean. So this is a storm that we'll have to watch for next week, right behind Fred. So we are now getting into the thick of hurricane season. Next name on the list is Grace, but in the meantime, we'll keep an eye on Fred. I'm meteorologist Alex Calamia. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook for all of the latest. I'm constantly tweeting out information about these storms and our local forecast.